Okay, gentlemen, so it's your two favorite YouTubers. We got Mr. Austin Holloman, and I'm Casey Brown, Casey Redbeard on the internet, channel Redbeard Rants. So because we're passport bros, if you want to label us as that, guys who tend to date overseas, we hear some variation of the comment, oh, women are the same everywhere, and if you can't get girls in your home country, then you're not going to be able to get girls overseas. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. That's just denying, culture. That's just saying, well, American culture is just the same as it is in Zimbabwe. There's just no difference between the people there. If there wasn't a difference in how women respond and how the dating scene was in different cities, we wouldn't have a passport bro movement in the first place. People would just stay their comfortable ass in the United States where all their friends are, where they already speak the language. But there is a little bit of truth to that, right? So again, the statement we're addressing is the very ignorant comment. Women are the same everywhere. If you're not, crushing it in your home city where you're from, don't expect to go overseas and get beautiful women. It's mostly bullshit, but there's some truth. And the topic of the video is we're going to break this down and talk about the similarities and the differences between women universally from, on my end, about 20-ish countries. How many on your end, Austin?
25.
25. And then how many cities roughly?
46.
Yeah. Okay. And we've spent significant time. We don't just travel to a city for like 2 days. I've lived in Colombia for 7 years, Brazil for 2. I know you got a lot of experience.
Yeah, I do about 6 months at a time. So this is my 6th month in Nairobi. I've done 6 months in Paraguay. I've done 4 months, no, about 6 months in Brazil too. And then I did a month here, a month there, 3 weeks here, 2 months in there, and depending on what country I was in.
He's even more well traveled than me. So let's get into it. So first we'll do the similarities, then we'll do the differences. So this is the first one that I like to talk about a lot, that it's an unfortunate truth that not almost, anywhere you go that I've seen on the earth, the top most beautiful women, I'm talking about fewer than 1%, the 8s, 8.5s and above, the truly beautiful women, not the little 6 that you had a crush on because she was in your math class, not your coworker that you see every day and you think she's kind of cute because you have so much contact with her. The truly beautiful women, of these women, there's not that very many of them, somewhere between 2/3 to up to 90% are going to be doing some form of pay for play, right? They're going to be on OnlyFans. They're going to be outright escorts or prostitutes. They're only going to reserve themselves for dating the top rich 1% of men. It doesn't help me. It does not behoove me as a dating coach, someone who's trying to help everybody, the most large percentage of men that I can, to come out with this harsh truth. If I was some swindler, if I was trying to be dishonest, I'd be like, oh yeah, send me your money, broke, short, ugly guy, and I'll turn you into a millionaire playboy who's getting all the hottest chicks. It doesn't help my case to say this, but I try to be very, very honest. And, I've dated chicks from, at this point, California to Kenya, and I've seen this as a problem. You can get on dating apps, they'll be the 6.5s, they'll be the 7s, really cute girls, really pretty girls. As soon as you start dealing with the 8s, the 8.5s, no matter where you meet them, whether it's out, whether it's through friends, whether it's dating apps, they want money. And I see this as an escalating problem. How is this? Have you noticed the same thing? What are your thoughts on this?
I would say it is a problem worldwide, some more than others. Like I noticed it a lot more in Colombia, especially Medellin. I've noticed it in places like, even sometimes in Nairobi. Sometimes in Nairobi it happens here, especially a place like Tanzania. Especially, let me just say this, every other country I've been to in Africa outside of Zambia, that was an issue. But the reason I'm here in Nairobi is because it is the least amount of issues. So if you think it's bad here with that, it gets way worse when you go to a place that's less developed, obviously. Like a place like Tanzania, like I said. So yeah.
Yeah, and not to pick on Brazil, because let me say, for anyone who wants to clip this or put us on Twitter, first of all, you can come at us. You can try to cancel us. We've had daily death threats and been in the news, both of us. You can clip this and cancel it. Brazil has a massive problem with pay for play. Nairobi, Kenya has been actually better than, most of the places I've seen. Medellin is terrible. But we were both saying that we are having a conversation about how we love the city of Sao Paulo, how infrastructure, shit to do, just how well the city functions. It's the culinary scene. It is an amazing city. But man, oh man, does the dating fucking suck in Sao Paulo. And it's something I didn't see. Medellin, it's in your face. Medellin, it's obvious. You walk around anywhere near Parque Lleras or Calle Diaz. If you get on the dating apps, they're very, very quick, about money. Brazil has this huge flaking problem. What it took me a long time to realize is they're waiting for you to offer them money, or they're waiting for you to invite them on your private jet or your some vacation for them. Almost no expats. We even know Jason. Shout out to Jason. Super, like, he's a Chad. He's like the tall, tattooed, buff, white guy. You yourself, me, myself. Has anybody done well in Sao Paulo? Like the dating scene there?
Not as a single man. The guy that I know that highly recommended it, that loved it, you and him were the reason I went there. But he also has a wife in Sao Paulo. So he's there for, like you said, the culinary scene, the business that's there, which there's a lot of that. It's great for that. It's great for everything else but dating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't hate it. The dating wasn't like the States there, but it damn near was.
It was the closest, yeah. And that's why I'm glad I kind of lived there for a while. A lot of the techniques that I won't get into now that I discovered for just very, very advanced techniques in dating were developed in Sao Paulo, because damn near as difficult as it was in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody I knew in Sao Paulo who, first of all, no one did well. And if any guy ever did, actually get like some hot chick, he was sending some pictures in the group chat, he later came forward and said, well, she was an MP girl. There's some website that's their version of seeking arrangement. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. It's like meu patrocinio. It's like my patron, my sponsor. And oh yeah, she was an MP girl. I gotta, keep it real. And it varies from city to city, but again, it doesn't help my case as a dating coach, but I want to be perfectly honest. And this is something that if you're looking to escape this, let's kind of carry on to the next topic. So 80 to 90%, 60 to 90%, depending on the city of wherever you go, anywhere, universally. And I think Miami's the worst, before you think we're picking on Kenya or Brazil or anything, are going to be doing pay for play. And beyond that, the few beautiful girls that aren't outright doing like formal sex work, they're just not going to be ultimately in a long-term relationship with a guy who isn't doing well successfully, like financially successful.
I would agree.
Because these beautiful women, what are they going to do? They're going to consult with Russell Brunson and give him advice on his sales funnel, or they're going to consult with the top hedge funds in the world and tell them about, well, there's this new opportunity with gold mining in Congo, and the Chinese haven't figured about this specific region. They're not invested. They don't know that shit.
Yeah.
They're not fucking, I don't know, Google pay-per-click experts. Like, they're gonna use their asset, which is their beauty, and they may have short-term relationships, one-night stands with chads. Looks are very important. I'll get into that more in a second, but if you go overseas, your 3, 4, 5K from whatever remote job you might be doing may be plenty for a girl. And a lot of these beautiful women, some of these beautiful women do really care about relationships and chemistry and love and all the good shit, all the shit that, quote unquote, how it should be. So your 3 or 4K may be plenty, but in Nairobi, what, 4K a month is definitely in the top 1%, right?
You're definitely not that limited, friend. If you were spending $2,000 a month on rent, you would have something you could put on the internet and brag about.
Absolutely. So here's another one too. Again, unfortunately, it doesn't help my case, as a dating coach, but I keep it honest, is that the quality of good options is diminishing quickly. Anywhere you go, there's more and more of, this pay for play culture, this sex work culture, this promiscuous culture. And beyond that, just girls with a high IQ, girls that aren't fucking irritating. You have any stories about like some irritating girl? I know you said some stuff like recently about girls just inviting themselves over that won't take no for an answer.
Yes, but you're going to have to help me with this, because I've experienced a lot of stupid behavior. I think it was in Latin America the most, though.
Yeah, probably.
And it was probably in Colombia the most, especially when we talk about them robbing, they'll kill you behind $50 or something like that. Something that's not well worth it at all. It usually to be 50,000. Boy, in their case, 5,000.
Yeah. If you're gonna kill me, 50,000 and up, please. Make it worth your while. If you're gonna kidnap me, but no, like I had a girl. I posted this in our group chat. I said there was just a screenshot where I said in our WhatsApp conversation, some girl was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to the giraffe center today." She goes, "Oh cool, what's there?" I said, "Giraffes."
Yeah, yeah.
And this is something that's universal: is that beautiful women are going to kind of coast through their life on their beauty.
They don't have to do much because since a child they've been pampered, from their uncles, aunts, everybody. It's a what do they call it? Pretty privilege. Yeah, that's not just for getting in the club. That's literally with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the old school pickup world, they called it beautiful woman syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that what happens when a beautiful girl tells a joke? Does the room go silent, or do all the Sims go, "Ah, oh my god, that joke, you're so funny"?
Yeah,
the latter, right? They, Sims tell them that they're interesting, that they have so much wisdom, or that they're so pleasant to be around, and it's difficult. And let me be honest and call myself out. And maybe, I don't know if you want to put yourself in this category too. If you watch, these red pill podcasts, Fresh and Fit, the whatever podcast, what do they all say? I need a man who's 7 feet tall and makes 7 figures a month, and he's a giga chad, and he's got to have this, and that. Men, we want a beautiful girl. Like, for us to consider a girl that like we would want to date, get in a long-term relationship, that we would actually consider like wifey material, is probably in the 1 to 2% of beauty in any place that we're at. So we're kind of like enabling and being part of the problem. But any way you look at it, beautiful. There's like a shortage of truly beautiful girls that also have charming personalities, that aren't super promiscuous, and aren't telling on themselves via social media. This is something I've seen a lot out here too. Like the girls that wear the red bottoms, those shoes. What is it, Louis Vuitton, or who makes the red
Louis
bottoms?
Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton. What do they cost?
Last time I checked, they were $1,500 for like high heels, I believe.
$1,500 for red bottoms. The Dubai trips.
Yeah.
What else?
Fancy restaurants all the time with no
all
job.
the fancy restaurants. Yeah. Like I said, like we interact with these girls. We know these girls, and like I said, they're not giving stock advice to Warren Buffett. They're not on Warren Buffett's board of advisors for Berkshire Hathaway, giving their top stock picks.
I'll actually add something. So I know a chick from here that lives the lifestyle. Like she gets the latest iPhone every year. She's always she travels probably just as much as I do, but around Africa, let's say, sometimes the Middle East and places like Dubai. And I tried to give her an idea, like, hey, you have some clout here, like you should do this to, get a membership so you get some recurring revenue. And she was just kind of like, no, that's cool. Like no even interest, because she's being thrown now that. So the problem is worldwide now with the internet.
Yep.
Of course, it's always been a problem. There's always been dudes that just use money to mess up everything to everybody else. But now with the internet, it's even worse. So she's like, well, why would I do a membership whenever some guy in Canada
Was it the
or
fitness
some
girl?
guy,
Or
no,
a different
no,
girl? Okay.
okay.
Some other
guy,
fitness girl you're telling me about.
some guy in Canada or some guy in Belgium that's gonna send me $200 just because I asked.
Yeah.
Just
for existing.
Yeah, just for existing.
She's like, that sounds good. A sales funnel, a website, an opt-in, a landing page that's optimized and A/B tested with Google Ads and retargeting. That sounds like a great plan. Or plan B, a guy will just finance and pay my whole fucking lifestyle.
But that runs out eventually.
Yeah, it runs out eventually.
And by the time they're 35, I think it starts to go.
And they're not smart enough to lock down, a good guy. And kind of a tangent, we as men can be that way too. I've definitely thrown away, some good girls that maybe I wish I kept. And I think as men, we need to, be responsible ourselves. And like when we actually do get a good girl that fits these characteristics, try to hold on to them a bit more. But I'm a bit of a different case. My standards are comically. I'm just as bad as the girls on the podcast.
Shit like this.
I should like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm doing this. Okay, let's talk about some other things that are similar. We'll get into the differences. Jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you lay good pipe, right? Like after you smash a chick and you made her orgasm 2-3 times in a single session, they think they own that dick, and they don't want to give it up, and they act absolutely crazy. Again, from Missouri to Mozambique, wherever the flight. This is universal.
Yeah. think that's just female nature.
Exactly. We're talking about the similarities. So, okay. Here's another one too. In most places you go, and there are some, I would say there's definitely a few exceptions to this. So some guys, well, what about Philippines? Okay, there's some few exceptions to this, but in most places that we've traveled to, women prefer to be with their own kind.
Yeah, it's a familiarity thing, especially if there's race involved. Like if I go to Romania, I'm not gonna make it seem as easy as you because she has to think about what her family's gonna think. Oh, she brought a black guy on.
But even me, I'm not Romanian.
Yeah,
I'm a
but it'd
white
be less for
American.
you though.
Yeah,
you're more
maybe,
familiar than me.
Exactly. There may be grades of it.
Yeah,
But most Romanian girls want a rich, famous, good-looking Romanian guy. Most Brazilian girls want a rich, good-looking Brazilian guy. It is what it is. I would say Manaus is probably different. It's a city in Brazil.
Definitely was no issue at all there.
Probably a lot of parts of Southeast Asia would be the same. But this whole like, oh, you're a passport bro, and like any city you go to. What about Turkey? You think chicks want Americans in Turkey, especially Black Americans?
No. And a lot of, let's say this, a lot of Black Americans think just because a woman will sleep with you, they love us down here. No, they will just experiment with you.
No.
Like I had a chick when I was in Turkey, she told me like, yeah, like I wanted to take her on a date. I wanted to take her out. I wasn't just looking to just casually, I mean, who's doesn't want to hook up, right? But I'm going to take her out, talk to her. I want the excitement still, get to know her and learning about what it's like to date here. And she's like, oh, no, we can't go out because she doesn't want to be seen in public with me. I was like, you can come over, but you have to come over at this time because I don't want my neighbors to see you.
Yeah. That's awful. It's like you almost have an advantage for half of the game, which is the short-term hookup, and a massive disadvantage for like the long-term game. You built it out.
And some dudes will deny that, but if you want to lie to yourself, you can find out the hard way.
All right, let's talk about some of the differences. So the biggest one is femininity. And I would tie these two together. Femininity of the women in different markets. Obviously, everybody knows that. We don't need to elaborate too much on that and bore you guys to death. I think it's well documented. But what's tied into that is the response to masculinity. And I have this theory that to me is more than a theory. It's a goddamn irrefutable fact. Why American women tend to be inherently so unhappy is because they want this fabled, paradoxical man that's the alpha pussy, right? The guy who's a feminist, but it's at the same time alpha as fuck. And it just doesn't exist.
It does, because it definitely doesn't exist.
It's a paradox.
Yeah, no.
How could you be wet and dry at this? I want the guy to be really, really wet, but he's got to be dry at the same time. Like, it doesn't fucking exist.
Well, something that they'll say is like, I want him to lead and take charge and provide, but I want to be able to put him in check. It's like, that doesn't work.
It doesn't, the two don't go together. So it's like American women, they watch their women's studies classes, at college, all the brainwashing, all the feminism that teaches them that, like, I even hear shit on TikTok, like, if my man gets home before me and he hasn't started dinner, that's a big problem.
Yeah, no thank you.
Or, we go 50-50 on everything. And again, at least the women I date, speaking for myself, I treat them very, very well, but the man makes the decision at the end of the day. And going back to why they're inherently unhappy, American women, is because you see this especially when you hear very liberal women on TikTok complaining that every time I match with a guy and it's going well and I'm actually like really, really highly attracted to him, later it comes out, he's a fucking goddamn conservative. It's like
misogynist.
Yeah, well, they probably wrap the two together, right? If you vote for Donald Trump, you must be a misogynist. You must be a racist too, I guess, right? Somehow. But that's a big difference in women is their femininity and how they respond to traditional masculinity. I would say a similarity is on a biological level in her subconscious brain, the behaviors that she's witnessing, the attitudes, and like I said, the behaviors that is subconsciously making her fucking pussy wet is universal. But the American women will kind of use that against you. They'll have their logical brain and their emotional brain competing. They'll say, oh, he's such an asshole, or again, like you watch like pop culture. It's, who's the strong, wise, even-tempered person in the movies? It's always the woman. And they got to make her gay. It's got to be what was it? The Marvels. Yeah, the Marvels. As we were talking about that female superhero that bombed, the female superhero movie. Mm-hmm. But Yeah, that's a big one. Let's go on to another one, and I'll let you talk about this one. Since I've been probably talking too much. Standards and expectations from men as a big difference. Obviously, we know what the standards and expectations of our American women. How's that different abroad?
They're more realistic. You have a chance of actually fulfilling someone's expectations. Versus back home, you can't do anything right. You can't say anything right. You can't look right. You can't make the right amount of money. It's always something that's going to be working against you. And they really hate men back home. Versus in other places, they still have a logical perception on how life really is.
Yeah.
You know, and what you're supposed to do as a man. Like you said before, you're supposed to lead and take charge as a man. But if you do that, you're controlling you back home. Versus if you do that somewhere else, that's expected. That's because a lot of other places in the world, most places, still have a family unit. So women are able to actually see what that was like.
I didn't even think about that.
Versus there's a lot of baby, and I'm not saying the United States is the only place of baby mamas, but there's a lot of baby mamas back home. There's a lot of single dads back home. There's some people don't even play outside anymore. People don't do the neighborhood picnic anymore. And then that's why I enjoy being abroad, because life is still about people.
Yeah. Tighter social bonds, like in general.
You can still socialize. Like,
yeah,
there's some American chicks I've met here in Kenya and in other places. And I'm like, oh, let me just try to see if she's adapted to a different culture. And they just can't get it. Like, they do the whole, like, I'm going to pretend like I don't want to talk. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up. Wait, come back. That's not how you socialize. You talk to me or you don't.
Yeah.
And not everybody's trying to fuck you.
Yeah, and the States, you kind of have to, like...
It's a banter.
Yeah, like, this is the exaggerated version. Like, you don't actually say this in America, but this would be kind of like the sub communications would be like, just walk over and go, you are ugly bitch and I am better than you and I have more options than you, and in this relationship you're going to be the fucking needy one and I don't fucking need you. Again, you can't actually say that, but that has to be the sub communication. I would say for American women, they always have to feel like they're kind of chasing you, like you're carrying this tightrope of like, have I been enough of an asshole and like made her chase and push her away with not being too much of an asshole? Yeah,
you'll never figure that out. You'll actually never figure that out.
This is why this comment, the original comment that kind of inspired this video, which is like, if you can't get girls in your home country, you ain't gonna do any better overseas, and women are the same everywhere. No, they're fucking not.
Well, actually, sorry to cut you off. If they're the same everywhere, would you expect the same dating experience in Yemen as you would in Texas?
Yeah, like,
why not? Because they're Muslims. That's a cultural thing. They can't even drive in some places. So you think somebody that's dependent on a man to drive is going to treat you the same way as a woman that pretty much doesn't need you at all in the States? It just doesn't logically make sense when you break it down.
Yeah, absolutely. And continue on that. Like, you said earlier, they hate men. Mm-hmm. I think this is kind of where the standards come into play, right? Like, let's say that you were a Crip. If you're going to do business with a Blood, you're sworn enemy. These are LA gangs. If you guys don't know, Crips are the ones that wear blue, Bloods are the ones that wear red, and they're like sworn enemies, right? If I'm a Crip and I'm going to do business with a Blood, he better have a 10 times better business proposition than a Crip, right? Because it's like, I hate these fucking red wearing motherfuckers, and if I'm going to do business with one of these, they call them slobs, then he better have, a really good, we better make him, he better control a whole corner, and we better make
he better a lot of unrealistically valuable.
Yeah, unrealistically valuable. Yeah. And that's how when they're kind of like, and this is why, to kind of, go on another tangent here, the emphasis on looks too. It's standard as a whole, but American women, like you said, they're born and bred from feminism to just hate men. They're taught that men are the oppressors. We somehow make more money, even though any two pharmacists or any two firefighters can compare their paychecks and see that they're being paid equally.
They don't make as much money as they think. The American women.
Oh,
I think there was a statistic where 70% of them made less than 70 grand. 70 grand in Texas is literally like that. You better be there. Like, if you're living in Dallas, the rent is like $1,500 a month for a safe, nice area minimum at this point. For a 1-bedroom.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, if they're going to be with one of these evil male oppressors that they're taught, he better be, 6'2". He better make mid six figures, not six figures. 100K in Miami is nothing. You cannot even shop at Whole Foods on 120K in Miami.
No.
Not even. You shopping at Publix if you're lucky, or whatever budget store. So that's a big difference. And again, like we wouldn't have a passport movement. Why can you walk around any capitals, city in another country? Manila, Bangkok, Medellin. Now in Kenya, I see white people everywhere in Kenya.
Yeah.
Some of them may be white Kenyans that came here, but a lot of them moved here. Why the fuck would we leave the country with the most opportunity? In Kenya, they all speak English, but like all the expats in Latin America, learning a new language, go through all this hassle, make all new friends, find out how to make a remote income if dating was the same.
Yeah.
It's not. Women are more feminine, and there is like some standard of looks that they want. We talked about the similarities. They all want, successful men.
Still people.
But but they're not like, exactly. They're still people. They're still women, but it's not that you have to be this. What percentage of American men would you say are more or less invisible to attractive women in America? Let's put that like
it's more than 50%.
Way more. Because again, keep in mind, I said invisible to attractive women. If you want to fuck war pigs, like we can go home and pick up war pigs in America very easily.
They still give you a little bit of runaround too, because
but they will.
Their mind is like not that far from the baddies. But like you guys see me, like I keep my hair cut. I know I'm not ugly. I hit the gym. I'm comfortable taking my shirt off, damn near walking around in underwear in public. Basically, that's how short I'm saying my shorts are. Got tattoos. I can hold a conversation. Obviously, if I have the following that I do on YouTube, and I can go viral as quickly as I want. And still, when I went back home, I was like, shit, I might as well be making 30 grand a year.
Yeah.
Fat and out of shape with 6 teeth in my mouth.
Because that's how I felt. The standard of, let's just say in all, charisma, height, body, looks, and everything, maybe you'd be somewhere in the 8-ish range, whatever, right? In America, you tend to get about 2 or 3 points below whatever you are. Versus a lot of other places, you get whatever you are.
Yeah.
And let's use this to jump into another topic of the differences is racial preferences can differ a lot depending on where you are. So one thing we talked about as a universal thing is most women tend to prefer their own. That is true. But number one, there's some exceptions to it where they just want a foreigner, period. I would say like Southeast Asia.
Yeah, anybody can go.
Black or white. For certain, we both crushed it in Manaus in Brazil. That was amazing. But you talk about this, about racial preferences, because definitely, and I would agree to this, that if you're a tall, good-looking black guy with money in Latin America, you're going to do just fine. Mm-hmm. You're going to absolutely crush it. But you felt that there was a bit more of a white advantage in Latin America.
And I said that because, like you said, I'm not tall, but like I did just fine in every country I went to. And I didn't notice that issue until I started hanging around Jason, you, Patrick. And sometimes we will walk up as a pair, Jason and I, for example, in Paraguay. I walk up and I'm the first to say something and they look at him.
That's just,
and I'm talking weird. And they're looking at him and I'm like, maybe that was nothing. Then it happened again. Then I hung around Patrick. Well, I hung around the other 2 guys in Sao Paulo you introduced me on. It was an Asian guy and other 2
Ian,
guys.
Rob, and Derek.
Yeah. So it was 2 white guys, 1 Asian guy, 1 black guy. And literally, we walked up to these chicks and we were just asking them a question. Like, we don't speak English, but we said it in Portuguese. So it was like, oh, well, maybe they just don't want to talk to us because we didn't even speak English. Then the other 2 white guys walked up and they might as well have been Chris Brown on stage. Like, they just would like that. And I was like, oh, shit. Maybe that white advantage thing doesn't sound real. That doesn't mean that you will be dry and just undesired. We're just saying that there is preference. Just like if you come to Kenya as a white guy, that doesn't mean that nobody will like you because that's far from the truth. But they're black people. They're going to prefer somebody that looks like them first.
I would say this about Kenya. It appears, and I'm no expert on Kenya, being for just about 3 weeks now, a little bit less, but it appears that there is somewhat of a preference. Like the American black guy checks both of the boxes. Like he's black, he's one of our own, he's one of us. There's going to be zero, racism and whatever. And again, that's just what they're used to. They have black skin. They, most people like what their own is. And that just generally seems to be what they prefer. But there's maybe a 10%, a 20%, 25, who knows, of black Kenyan girls that prefer a white guy. And I'd rather, like, that's plenty. 20%, how many? There's like 4 million people in Nairobi.
It's five.
Whatever.
Five.
There's millions of people here. 20% of millions of people is plenty. And of course, that's the ones I'm going to match with on Bumble. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that seems to be something that definitely changes. And then just to kind of wrap this up, the last one I had for differences is loyalty. You will see vast differences in the level of promiscuity amongst different cultures and stuff like that.
Yeah, for example, if you go to Senegal, don't think you're going to do what you did in the DR.
Yeah. No.
If you go to Paraguay, it's not going to be just like there's no promiscuity, but don't think it's going to be like what you did in Rio, especially Rio. If you go to Vietnam, don't expect to see what you saw in the DR or Thailand. So yeah, everywhere is definitely not the same. Everywhere you want, nothing in life is the same. I wish people could say like, all you do is travel to another country. Where are you going and who are you?
Yeah.
Because if you're black and you go to Kenya, you will have a different experience than if you're black and you go to Uruguay.
Yep.
Or if you go to Vietnam. It's just not going to be the same.
Yeah.
Not saying you'll be dry, you'll be just a loser, but it just won't be the same.
But you've done well in everywhere everywhere you've been with me, except Sao Paulo. Neither of us did that well in Sao Paulo. That,
we did something, but it was just a lot of work.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fucking work, man. And the flakiness is absolutely out of control. Okay, that's all I had to say. Anything you wanted to add on to that?
No, just improve yourself, do your research, watch our videos, watch somebody that looks like you. I mean, watch both people, but if you want to be the most realistic, watch somebody that looks like you.
Yeah.
Like when I was learning to get waves, I'm not going to watch the same guy Casey watches because the hair is completely different.
So I want to take hair advice from you?
Now, if you're fat, ugly, and you have 3 teeth in your mouth, you're going to end up doing paperclip. That's the solid fact.
If you want attractive girls, you can get ugly girls. And yeah, the last thing I was going to say is nothing will make a bigger difference in your results in dating other than changing your location. If I could gift you 6 or 7 inches of height, if I could gift you an extra 0 or 2 extra zeros on your monthly income, if I could gift you the $1 million mouthpiece and unwavering charisma and game and magnetic personality, none of that would be as potent as just changing your location. That's one of the main things that I talk about. I mean, but even if you are, last thing I'll wrap this up. Even if you are a Giga Chad in America, young, extremely good looking, extremely rich and tall, and you can get the top beautiful girls there, you may not even want them. It's not even a question of like, can you get girls in America? It's number one, can you get them? But do we even want them? Right? Because if you have a yacht in Miami and you're young and good looking, you're just the next schmuck with a yacht. You're not special. They can go and get that any week. So anyway, you guys,
disposable.
Disposable. Well, this is Auston Holloman. He's Auston Holloman on all channels. I'm either just Redbeard Rants or Redbeard Rants 1 on a lot of channels. And stay tuned for more free game.